Now, there are a few more cowardly actors in modern American politics than Mitt Romney. Now, let me explain. Now, back in the 2012 presidential Republican primary, Senator Mike Lee went out on a limb, and he became the first member of the Tea Party caucus to support Mitt Romney's bid for the nomination. Now, to return the favor, Romney is now the only GOP senator who hasn't endorsed Lee's reelection, citing his relationship with Lee's opponent, independent candidate and professional grifter Evan McMullin. Now, what has that holdout produced? Well, a flurry of puff pieces.
Evan McMullin is asking voters from both parties to join his insurgent campaign to win a Senate seat as an independent from Utah.
Our democracy is at great risk right now, and we will decide as a nation over the next two cycles, this cycle and the next, whether we still are a democracy or whether we're going to head down a road towards authoritarianism.
Now, McMuffin is a champion of democracy and a maverick, right? But wait, he's more. He's the plucky underdog, not the guy whose wayward 2016 independent bid resulted in $670,000 in unpaid bills.
McMullin says he understands the challenge, but urges voters to see that his allegiance is to Utah, not a political party.
I'm not running to be a bootlicker for the leader of any party or or a president of any party. I will work with anybody to get things done for our state and our country.
I was expecting right there Jeff Zeleny and McMuffin to just go full spooning.
Senator Lee was willing to even sacrifice our Constitution and his oath to it in order for him and his allies, Donald Trump and his other political allies, to hold on to power.
Would you go as far as saying he violated his oath of office, he violated the Constitution, he violated the law?
I think he violated his oath, certainly, and I think he violated the Constitution.
If your number one issue is defending democracy, you won't be able to build a coalition with those Republican senators.
I don't even know who that person is, that anchor, but enjoy the fruits of your cowardice, Mittens. Joining me now is Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor. Newt, look, I supported Romney in 2012. I mean, I've known Romney going back to the early 2000s. I've always liked him personally, but this Trump derangement syndrome has really revealed a lot about the establishment and what they really stood for all along, has it not?
Well, it's particularly dumb for a Republican senator to not be endorsing a Republican senator. There's no question but that McMullin is going to vote with the Democrats. I mean, all this nonsense about being independent, that's just baloney. The way the Senate and the House work, you ultimately end up with a party. Bernie Sanders is technically an independent. However, he meets with the Democrats. That's a fact. Angus King of Maine is technically an independent. However, he meets with the Democrats. If McMullin wins, it's a vote for Schumer and a vote for Biden. It's that simple, that straightforward. And why Romney would vote or fail to pursue helping his colleague keep a Republican majority, which is where they're drifting now towards a majority. And Utah would be one of those great surprises if we lost it. Furthermore, Senator Lee is a remarkable constitutional scholar, a solid conservative, and somebody who, by any reasonable standard, has earned the support of every Republican in the country. So I'm puzzled by Romney's confusion about his own future.
Well, speaking of failures of the Democrats and Republicans who don't seem to understand how important they are for the country and to recognize, Newt, we just learned late today that the ACT test scores, those are tests that kids take to get into college, they dropped to the lowest level in 30 years in the pandemic slide. That is a total indictment, is it not, of Democrat governors, mayors, teachers unions all across the country who kept these schools closed. At this point, tantamount to child abuse, yet we still have Republicans like Romney trying to keep the status quo going.
Look, the fact is the greatest threat to American long-term national security is the collapse of our education system. The Department of Education under Biden is looking at very radical positions on transgenderism, on imposing on kids all sorts of things that don't relate to learning. They don't teach you how to do math. They don't teach you how to read or write. But they have all of these strange, weird ideas that they're trying to impose. And the fact is, this is really a deep national security crisis. It goes all the way back to President Reagan, who issued a report in 1983 called A Nation at Risk that said if a foreign power did to our children what the schools are doing, we would consider it an act of war. And I think we have to recognize the teachers' unions have sold out totally. Their results are disastrous. It's, excuse me, they're very expensive, and yet they're not producing. And nobody wants to go out and have the kind of reforms we need. In some states, Florida, Arizona, you're beginning to see real change, putting parents back in charge. And I think that's, frankly, going to be the future, to have what Betsy DeVos called education freedom, more than just school choice, but a freedom to find out how your child learns, and whether it's an apprenticeship or it's an online or it's in a charter school or under whatever circumstance. And that is, I think, going to be one of the biggest fights for our survival as a country.
Fantastic, Newt. Great to see you. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.